show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Hey, welcome to the Just Never Know podcast. I'm your host, Ron Frazier, and welcome to another diversified show. I told you before we're going to do diversified guests. Well, I had to bring on a good friend, one of the funniest friends I have. I even got him on the acting set there for a little bit. He's a truck driver, and boy, I'm sure he's got some experiences to share with us, and I'm sure they're going to be funny. Thanks for joining me today, Dean. Appreciate it, buddy.
You're welcome, Ron. Anything for you, buddy. We go back a long way, and it's always a pleasure to work with you. And just, you're always into something new and exciting, man. And I'm happy to be part of it. Thank you.
Oh, I do. Well, I tell you, we've talked a little bit about your trucking, and let's just start right from the beginning. What began your journey into trucking?
Well, it goes back to whenever I went to get married. I told my wife I wanted to be a trucker. I've been around trucks all my life. Both my brothers were owner operators. And I just been around. If I wasn't riding with them, I was working on them, helping them make money, and all my friends rode Harleys and drove truck, and that's all I wanted to do. And my wife was like, "I won't marry you if you drive truck." My dad drove truck, and he was never home, so I put that dream on hold for a long time. So I went with my second best thing, which I went to auto body school. Uh, Wanted to restore muscle cars. Ended up becoming an insurance adjuster for State Farm and just restoring muscle cars on the side at night and buying and selling muscle cars. And in 2011, State Farm let mostly all the estimators go because they went to a direct repair program. So I was at a loss, and I was sort of burned out after being with State Farm as an adjuster, just dealing with all the pressure and the crap and everything. And my kids were raised, and my wife was like, "You're not getting this out of your system. You want to drive trucks." So basically, in 2011, I went and got my CDL after I left State Farm, and I went over the road. The first few jobs, you have to pay your dues. You go over the road for mega carriers. You run coast to coast. You're normally out for 4 weeks at a time. It's just that's just paying your dues, and I fell in love with it. You know, I told her I was going to run local. I eventually ended up running local and stuff, but now that I'm divorced, I've been divorced 3 years, so I'm over the road now, back to where I want to be, what I've always wanted to do. Actually, this week I've covered about 2,700 miles in 8 states. That's a typical week. A typical week is between 8 and 10 states, and right around 3,000 miles, give or take. So, but that's how I got started.
Wow. Well, right there, you mentioned one of the challenges. What are some of the biggest challenges you face?
Uh, it's whenever I was an insurance adjuster, that's like a status job, and I got a lot of respect and stuff like that, and people respect. Out here, you don't get much respect. They think you're stupid, if you drive truck and you hold a steering wheel. But there's some pretty high paying jobs in the trucking industry. If you get in with unions, local, specialized characters, you're definitely. I got a friend that works for UPS. He's not at the highest rate. He made $130,000 last year, and he went to 4 weeks of school, no student debt. And most of these trucking companies, if you sign on with them, they'll pay your loan through Sally Mae. If you get a $4,500 loan, it's 4 weeks of schooling, to get out. And actually, normally you'll get a job starting at $45,000 to $55,000 a year. But this isn't for everybody, man. You're sleeping in parking lots. The biggest challenge is with you got electronic logs now versus paper logs. Back with the paper logs, you had wiggle room. With this, you don't have wiggle room. You got 14 hours you can work in a day, and you can drive 11 hours, and you have to break that up. And within that 8 hours, you have to take a half an hour mandatory break. And so you're racing the clock. You're racing the clock. And nowadays, with so many trucks on the road, it's just it, it's dangerous. It's the seventh most dangerous job there is in the United States. If I remember correctly, the statistics. I seen a double fatality last night where a car drove under a rig, and but death is out here all the time. Bridge construction. I work in the Northeast United States. I live in Pennsylvania. Drive to Kentucky. Long Island, North Carolina, Dallas, Texas. I go wherever they need me to go. But the biggest challenge is this electronic log. Here, like I say, the clock starts. You got a 14-hour window to drive 11 hours, and usually, you get held up somehow or another, and your appointment times. Some of these places, if you don't make your appointment time and you're an hour too late, they'll reschedule you out a couple days, and you're setting for a couple days, and you can't take that load back because you just drove 700-800 miles. So it's frustrating. You're pushed. You're constantly pushed, and like I say, you get a half an hour break in a 14-hour window normally, to drive 11 hours. So that's the biggest thing, and a lot of unprofessionals out here. It's just that the courtesy isn't out here like it used to be. But finding places to park, you sleep on the side of the road, and you hear the damn traffic all night long, and it's hard. And you got an 800 horsepower motor underneath you, and it's sitting there rumbling all night long. And then you got refrigerator units that are sitting beside you at truck stops. They're a diesel engine and they're noisy as hell.
Hmm.
And it's just the sleep thing, You have no sleep schedule, none at all, man. Three things you got to learn in trucking: uh, never get comfortable, never make plans, and never trust a fart.
Well, I was just going to say, I mean, how do you manage between the balance of work and life? It's pretty difficult for a truck driver, correct?
It is. It is. I whenever I first moved back from Charleston to DuBois to take care of my dad who had leukemia, who passed just 2 months ago. This was 2.5 years ago. I moved back. I felt God led me to come back and take care of them. I was living in Charleston. I come back to visit for my dad's 89th birthday, and I saw he had leukemia, and my mom was battling health issues, and I swore to God I'd never move back to Pennsylvania. And the whole way back to Charleston, man, I fell apart. I was like, I got to go back and take care of them. So uh, I went back, and I told them I wanted to be over the road, but the most I could do for them is just be out from Sunday night to Friday night and get me home during the week at least once. And they said, okay. And my buddy owns the company. He was a NASCAR driver, Benny Gordon. He ran Hooters Pro Cup. He's been a race car driver all his life. I worked on his pit crew. We've been friends for over 30 years. He understood the situation. He's a good friend of mine. What an awesome dude he is. Best boss I ever had for Star Trucking, man. These guys rock. And they care. They really care. And so that's what I was doing the first year and a half is leave Sunday night, come back Friday night, and be home for the weekend and try and play catch up to everything that needed done. And as my dad's health declined with his leukemia, I went to the boss and said, I need to be more local. So that's what they do to me now is run me like it's about 250, 300 miles out. I'll go to like Long Island or Kentucky or something, unload, catch a back haul, and be home by night. It's a lot of pushing. It's hard. It's really hard. It's not easy. And but with my dad passing, my mom's having a hard time. My dad was 92 when he passed. My mom is 90, and she's now all alone. And they had been married 74 years. So I'm still trying to get home every day because she's not well with that. So it's still fresh, but it's a hard balancing act because whenever you go home, you do your laundry, you get caught up, you restock your refrigerator to go back out, you wash your truck, you clean your truck, and then you do whatever you can at the house. So you eat after you work a 70-hour work week trucking. It's mandatory you take a 34-hour restart. The truck has to set for 34 hours after your 70 hours. So that normally gives me a 2-day window to get everything done that I need done on the weekends. And I still like working on my muscle cars. I got a 55 Pontiac I'm restoring. I got a Harley, and just I help my boss restore his cars when he has a collection from Mecum auctions. I work on them. Uh, they're Barrett Jackson cars. I take him to the next level for him, whatever he needs done. So we hang a lot, and then still runs dirt track on the weekends. So I pull his car hauler. We just went to Livonia, Georgia a while ago. I pull race car hauler. It's actually a NASCAR trailer that he had when he ran NASCAR, and he was Rookie of the Year for NASCAR. It's one hell of a trailer, uh, but I'm just out here doing what I love to do, you know.
Short period. Give me what do you think is your most memorable trip? Or
Probably the most memorable trip is I wasn't driving for Star at the time. This was back in 2012. I was driving for another company, and they were running me pretty hard. I was running coast to coast, and I was hanging out with a buddy of mine restoring his 442 Cutlass, and I told him I had to take a load of Hershey chocolate out to the west coast of California and backhaul some strawberries from Target back here out of California. And I said, damn, man, I said, I'm going to be running hard. He's like, did you ever take no-dos? And I'm like, I did whenever I went to auto body school to stay awake. He's like, yeah, he said, I got some no-dos I'll give you, just take them. He said, whenever you get tired. And I was like, okay. And he he went out to his car and come back and handed me his pills, and I put them in my pocket, didn't pay much attention. And I went to leave Pilot and Du Bois, and I thought, I'm going to eat one of them pills with no-dos when I was tired. And I got going, and I'm like, holy hell. I'm like, these don't feel like no-dos. And I called him, and I'm like, what? Are you sure? And he's like, I gave you the wrong bottle. He said, them are Adderall I gave you. I have a prescription for Adderall. Ended up taking Adderall by mistake, thinking they were no-dos. Anyways, yeah, and I had never taken anything like that before, and it hit me hard. And I ended up driving from Du Bois, Pennsylvania to Tombstone, Arizona. And my dispatcher called me and he said, where the hell you at? And I said, Tombstone, Arizona. He said, are you freaking kidding me? I'm like, no. He's like, you need to pull over and let your logbook catch up with you. And he says, you're going to have to set for a day and a half, maybe two. He said, screenshot your logbook to me. And I screenshot it, and I was like, okay, it was nice weather. I was like, I was enjoying seeing all these cactuses and shit, and just Arizona. I went out fucking waxed my damn truck after I just drove from Du Bois, Pennsylvania to Tombstone, Arizona. I went out and waxed that big ass Kenworth in the middle of the night. I kid you not. I I I ended up waiting a day and a half. I waxed the truck twice. Yes, I waxed the truck twice. I greased the son of a bitch. Yes, and oh my god, I was sweating buckets. Oh my god, I was sweating buckets, and I ended up waiting like right at the last minute. I became legal again. Fucking off to California. I went. I got to California. I dropped for a day. They got me a backhaul back. I ate that second pill, and I'm like, fuck it. I thought, catch me if you can. What the hell? Fucking, I ate that other pill whenever I was in San Leandro, California. What did I do? Drive the whole way back to Tombstone, Arizona, and freaking cleaned the truck all over again, and freaking headed back to fucking Pennsylvania unloaded. I went home and slept for a couple days. My boss like, you need a couple days off, Dean. I'm like, yes, I do. So I went home and waxed my Harley a couple times and rode it about 300 miles.
Oh my God,
That,
that's
that was one of the most memorable. Another one was I had to go up to a place called St. Catharines, which is up above Buffalo, New York, and that's the entry to come in from Canada to the United States, and that's where they bring loads in. And they always wanted me to go up into Canada. I had my passport, but I'm like, I ain't going to Canada. So, anyways, they'd bring the loads to this truck stop just over the United States line. North of Buffalo, and I was sitting in that truck stop waiting for that guy to come out of Canada. It was snowing and blowing. It was bad out. They got like 18 inches that day. I'm sitting at this damn truck stop doing paperwork, just sitting there smoking a cigarette, drinking a coffee. I see this damn homeless guy walking in between trailers and shit like that. I'm like keeping an eye on him, and he went over and pissed on my tire and took a dump underneath my truck. And I hollered out at him, and we exchanged some words, and he flipped me off and said, "What are you going to do about it?" I was like, "I want to get out and pound his ass." And I'm like, "It's fucking 10 below." I'm like, "I ain't getting out for nothing." And I'm like, so I was like, "Just let it go, Dean. Just pick and choose your battles. Let it go." And the dude was taunting me to the max. And it's like, there's a lot of people you can piss with in this world, but I'm not one of them because I can get crazy. Anyways, so I got my trailer. The guy came. We swapped trailers. I gave him an empty to go back up into Canada. I was headed down to South Carolina with that load, and as I was getting ready to pull out of the truck stop, there's two dumpsters right beside the end of the parking lot, and that guy was dumpster diving, and he had a pedal bike like laying on the ground there, and that's what he was pushing it around. He couldn't ride it because there was so much snow, but he was pushing it at that point. And I was like, okay, you want to fucking play? So, anyways, long story short, I thought I'm gonna run over that damn bike. I did, up over the freaking curb, went to head for the bike, and I got like 7 foot from the bike, and a puppy took off out of the basket. It freaked me right out. I'm glad the puppy got out of there in time. But anyways, I ran over the bike and crunched it. He kept running. He come running up beside me at the stoplight. I said, "Fuck around and find out, bro." He's like, "That was everything I own." I'm like, "It's still there. It's just a little more compact." I said. So, but uh, I've, I've, I've tied dog. I was bored once going out to Florida, Idaho, and what I do is I found in a truck stop, it was a $5 bin, and there was these dog dishes that said Fido on them, and I got a Gainsburger and put in one and water in the other, and it had a leash with it, and I took some JB Weld and put them dog dishes on the back of the bumper of my trailer, and I tied a leash onto the back door of the trailer, and I wrote on there, "Lost dog reward if found." And I'd look back there and I'd see that leash. I had a Nebraska state cop come up beside me and shake his head and point his finger at me. Then he started laughing and took off. But yeah,
oh God.
the first time I went to work for Star Trucking, you have to do a road test. No matter how many miles you have, whenever you go to work for a new trucking company, you have to do a road test, which they take you out on the road. You do backing in tight spots. You do blind spot. They just want to make sure that you're safe with their equipment. When I went to work for Star Trucking, uh, they told me there's a black long nosed Pete out there. Just come back from the well site. Grab that one. So I grabbed it. Well, here the guy that had it before me didn't have the fire extinguisher secured. They're usually by your left foot as you open the door. Anyways, for some reason, it was laying on the floor back in the bunk, and I was all nervous and just in a hurry. Anyways, I should have secured that fire extinguisher. That was unsafe. But anyways, I thought I'm not going far. Anyways, The instructor jumped in the passenger side. He said, "Let's go down and hook onto a trailer down here." So we hooked onto a trailer. We started pulling out. He said, "You need to test your brakes." I said, "Oh, yep." So, anyways, he said, "Stab him twice." So I said, "All right." So I stabbed him twice. That damn fire extinguisher come flying forward and friggin' went off in the truck. Went off in the truck. I grabbed it, threw it out into the fucking parking lot. There was white shit everywhere. White shit everywhere. So he's like, "We got to go back to the terminal and vacuum this out." And I was like, "Okay." So he said, "Back up, disconnect." So we disconnect. We pulled up to the garage doors, and my buddy Benny, who owns the company, knew I was going for my, test drive. He comes walking out because we come pulling back up after he was watching everything, and he come back up and I'm covered with white powder and everything like that. And he looked at Bill, the other guy who was giving me the test. He's like, "Wow." He said, "Do I have to send you for another drug test already?" I was covered with white powder from top to bottom. I said, "No, I just need a damn blowgun." I said,
That's hilarious.
"Yeah, yeah, yep." But
My
I said,
God.
"Is that part of the fucking hazing or something like that? To go to work for a Star or something?" But one time, there was these girls that were there was a long line of traffic from an accident, and there was these girls that were passing on the shoulder, and all these trucks were trying to scoot over to keep them from passing. And anyways, everybody was getting pissed because they were riding the shoulder down there and not waiting their turn, and that just gets a trucker pissed. Anyways, they got up close to me, and I just happened to flick a cigarette out the window, and the wind happened to catch that cigarette, and it blew in the back seat of that car, and that girl in the back seat was leaning up talking to the person in front of her, and as soon as I flicked that cigarette and it went in the car, she leaned back, and I'm like, "Oh dear Lord, that's gonna burn a hole in her shirt and the seat." I'm like, "I love karma. God loves me." I, I I felt bad for about 2 seconds, but I, I was like, I guess that's karma. I can't fight karma, you
Yeah.
know.
Well, hey, I was going to ask you because you talked a little bit about technology. Has it changed the trucking industry quite a bit then?
Yes, yeah, like whenever you go into Amazon now to deliver and stuff like that, they scan your license plate and everything like that. It's all automated, and there's no human connection at all. You pull in, it'll scan your license plate, and you call a phone number at at the uh, the guard shack, which nobody's there anymore. And if you do get somebody, they don't speak English and you can't understand them. But anyway, so you punch in a code and it'll tell you what dock door to go to, um, where to take the paperwork to, and stuff like that. Same with certain big companies with loading. You'll go in, punch in a number, it'll tell you what dock door to go to. You'll go to the gate as you exit, and it'll print off all your paperwork for you. And you didn't talk to nobody, see nobody, nothing. You just got loaded and out. But the biggest change in technology is the the electronic logs. Um, Older trucks are exempt from that; they're on paper logs. But the biggest challenge we got is electronic logs. We're so controlled out here. Um, it's such a controlled environment that the government regulates us so much in the trucking industry. But the hardest thing is finding parking. And now these Pilot and other companies have gotten so greedy that whenever you go to park for the night, they charge you $10 or $15 to park on their lot, which that really highly upsets me because I spend about $3,000 a week in fuel there. So you crunch that number. My boss has 70 trucks. So you figure out how much money we're giving Pilot and TA and all them, and they can't even let us park for free. You know, that's the hardest thing, finding parking. And you just I get home a lot at nights, but sometimes I run out of hours and I can't get home. But sleeping on the side of the road, because your technology, you're out of hours. You're out of hours. You got to stop, or you're in violation. And it goes on your DAC record, which is a driver accountability record, which follows you everywhere you go. If you have a lot of stuff on your DAC record, violations and stuff, you ain't getting a good job with, say, UPS and these ABF freight, a lot of the union places that pay six figures. So, but the biggest challenge is these electronic logs, and the people that invent this stuff never have been out here on the road and deal with stuff. So that's always my biggest challenge, is just racing the clock, because you got so much road construction and accidents out here. It's just
Right.
that's the worst thing.
Well, hey, what is some misconceptions that the general public may have about truck drivers?
They think we're out here to get laid. I always tell people I'm out here to get paid, not laid. Everybody thinks that there's lot lizards everywhere. There isn't. They're lazy now. They're all strung out. They get government assistance. They don't have to be a lot lizard. But seriously, I got about 600,000 miles under my belt, and I think I've been accosted 3 times. Maybe it's because I'm ugly. I don't know. But we're all ugly out here. All us truck drivers are ugly, so that can't be it. But no, seriously, there's certain areas like San Antonio, Texas, West Memphis, a lot of places in California that girls are called lot lizards. But most of the time, you don't get bothered or hassled by women out here. You know, um, that's just a big myth. I think it was more popular in the '70s and '80s. When my brothers drove truck, they met up with women, at different places and stuff like that. But I just don't see it out here. That personally, I just don't see it. And I, but I think that's a big misconception, that all the truck drivers are out here whoring around. But damn, we're run so tight and spread so thin that we don't have time to be screwing off and fucking off, and even very often just sit down and get a damn meal. We're pushed to get a damn shower at night and stuff. And sleep. I'm either driving or sleeping. That's a big misconception. It's the lot lizards out here. I think that's the biggest one.
There's a side, but what there's a lot of good upside. What do you enjoy about it? What's the most enjoyable thing that you take away from the trucking?
Getting able to
What's the most interesting place you have delivered to?
Baltimore, hands down. There's a place that I went to not too long ago. It's in the hood. It is the hood. I'm talking the hood. Anyways, they sent me down there, and I got a trucker GPS, and I've always trusted, because I paid $700 for its GPS, and it's not like a regular GPS. It's for trucks. And so, anyways, it had me turn onto this street. It was a residential street, and I had to deliver a load of paper to this uh, factory. And here it was the back entrance to the factory, this side street. Anyways, all these houses are like gutted, burned, homeless people everywhere. And I come down the street, and there's a friggin' mattress in the middle of the damn street. Somebody had taken out and just thrown in the middle of the street. And I'm like, well, I'm just glad nobody's on it. I had to drive over the mattress. And I was like, damn, this is crazy. But yeah, all the houses were burned down. I was the only white person. They were looking at me really hard, and it was a bad area. And I just waved and smiled. And, I lived in Baltimore a long time, so I can get along with anybody. And, just, but,
Well, speaking about
you just got to act as crazy as they do. So, but yeah, that was crazy, running over a damn mattress. I'm like, at least somebody with the homeless dude wasn't on it sleeping. I didn't have to drag him off of it.
speaking of situations like that, being on the road, how do you handle road rage? I'm sure you get a little bit of that thrown at your way.
Yeah, I get pissed. You get a lot of ignorant, rude people. I was coming across the George Washington Bridge outside of New York City, headed to Long Island, and it just to get across that bridge, sometimes it's an hour, and it's not that long of a bridge. But anyways, this Coca-Cola truck, he come by me, and he backed mirrors with me on my brand new $230,000 Pete, and he bat mirrors, like, because it's tight, it's 4 lanes, and anyways, he looked over and laughed, and just out of reaction, I had a coffee, and my passenger window was down, and I just wailed that puppy. I swear, I shouldn't have done it, and I was like, "Oh." But I was just like, I had had enough. My nerves are shot by the end of the week. People that are rude and ignorant and just cut you off and just do risky stuff out here. This is a dangerous job. This ain't no game, you know. And sometimes you just gotta stay in check. I have a camera. All the company trucks have a camera mounted out front, so they can see everything that's going on. A lot of the mega carriers have cameras all around their trucks, but ours just has it facing forward for accident liability purpose only. But yeah, I had just snapped. It was Friday. I was just like, I had had enough, and he was just being a smartass, and he just thought that was cute. But yeah, I wailed my coffee at him. It hit the driver's side door. He just kept going like nothing ever happened. Jersey. It's where the grandmas flip you off there.
Hey, Dean, I want to thank you for coming on. I'll tell you what, really informative, man. You answered a lot of questions I've had about it, and shared your insight and definitely your humor. I appreciate it, buddy. And it's always good to
You're
see you.
you're welcome. I scaled it down and kept it PG rated for the best part of it. Sometime I'll tell you the rest of the stuff.
All right, buddy. Sounds like a plan. Thanks again. Where are you headed now?
I'm headed back to Dubois. I'm home for the weekend. Yep, I'm done for the weekend, and I got my '55 Pontiac in the garage, and I'm gonna work with the other woman. I call it the other woman.
There you go. There you go. Hey, well, thanks again, and safe travels to you, buddy. And we'll be getting caught up again.
All right, buddy. Thanks, Ron. Have a great weekend, buddy.
Hey, you too, buddy. Take care.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Please subscribe, like, and share. Appreciate everybody. Love you. Thank you. Thank you, Dean.